Hey guys, what's going on? It's Dan Gheesling. Welcome to another episode of the Dan Gheesling podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in to yet another week. It's crazy. I think we're getting close to the 1 year anniversary. I think it's only a week or two away, maybe 3 or 4 weeks, but it's become such a part of my weekly routine. I really have a hard time dialing it back to think what it was like before that. But before we get into all that, I do want to thank you so much for tuning in. Whether you're walking your hound dog, maybe you're giving your baby pig a miniature pig a bath, maybe you're riding a miniature horse in your backyard, or maybe you're taking the 405, maybe you're walking in the gym, maybe you're collecting Pokemon Go, whatever you're doing right now. I gotta think out of all the openings we've done, I try to mix up what people are doing. Someone could be baking bread right now. I think this may be the first time where all those things that I just said, there's probably a 1% chance versus normally we're in like the 25 to 30% range. Anyways, super excited to dial in. We've had an interview last week with Kate Lovely Momo about how she got on a Nintendo game. So this is going to be a little bit of an update, taking a look at a lot of things. But number one, there's been, a lot of, I'd say, challenges in the past couple weeks, but also some really, really great things. But as you guys know what we talk about here, we talk about what's actually been done, and analyzing it, and then most importantly, what you could take away from it. So really want to jump into what I was doing right before the podcast was. You guys, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know how internally I stress the process of trying to grow things through Instagram, because I just think that's where the opportunity is to continue to push and do things. It's also, for me, the most uncomfortable, so it's a double-edged sword. But what I was doing before we started the podcast was last night, I saw an image on Twitter that I really liked. It essentially was pictures of the same pair of hands on 9 different controllers, and the way I describe it sounds a little bit creepy, but essentially, on the title of it, says, which did you start with? And each controller was numbered like 1 through 9. It started with Atari, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Game Boy. And I just posted Instagram. I said, which one did you start with? And before I started the podcast, so this was last night, I was just responding to, as many people as humanly possible who had posted on there. And without a doubt, it's probably the most engaged post that I've had on Instagram in a while, but also not the most liked. But it doesn't matter, right? It just doesn't matter. That stuff doesn't matter. What it matters to me is the engagement, right? People that are fired up, that were conversing, versus, oh, this one had 1,000 likes. I don't really care. But it was just interesting to me that it was something that I saw on Twitter that I really liked. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I like it. Let me share it. And I feel sometimes on Instagram I overthink things and just instead of just kind of going with what I like and sharing it because I think other people will enjoy it as well. So that was kind of cool. But outside of that, maybe a post or two per week over the past 2 weeks. But it's one of those things where it's just continue to keep moving the needle. But I don't know. I just feel very strongly about the opportunity that is Instagram, and another way to connect with people. And kind of the way I approach it now internally is I just try to sprinkle in a lot of personal stuff, or not a lot of personal stuff, but some behind the scenes is probably more accurate. Some behind the scenes things, as well as some video clips. It's just good, And I heard a quote, or I don't know. I was listening to a podcast. It's probably a Gary Vee thing the past week. He's like, "Hey, if you're on my Instagram, you don't know what the heck to expect. It could be whatever, one of 8 different things." And that kind of opened up my mind a little bit, where it's like, hey, you don't have to do only one thing on Instagram, and if it doesn't fit, it's okay. It's just like anything else. And I feel like if this is your first time listening to the podcast or not, whatever it is you're trying to do, the answer is always just do it and then see what happens, as opposed to thinking about what you're going to do and then analyzing and then never actually doing it. And I got into a conversation with Ryan Gary over the past week or so on one of our Tarkov duos about you can plan all these things. You can update your graphics, your overlays for Twitch, and you're ready to live stream. But 99, I don't want to say this. For me, at least, 99 out of 100 times, I'm always just better starting the show and going. And then, Zane, the editor, who helps me with a lot of graphical and video stuff, has been asking me to update my subscriber notifications for the past 4 months. And I agree with them. They need to be done. But I'm just my thing is like, all right, I could either spend an hour updating that or I could stream for an hour longer. And so right now that's kind of where I'm at. I just stream for an hour longer. Outside of that, another thing I would say that's not been going good, but things that needs to be improved upon is my Twitch shows have been starting late, meaning, hey, I'm going to start at 12. The show goes live at 12, but we don't actually start till 12:15. And that's a really big pet peeve because I think it sets, and this is me, it's important to me. And I'm sure I'm a little more put a little more stress on it than other people, but I just feel it kind of sets the tone. And so I always feel like it's a better show when we're supposed to start at 12, the stream starts at 11:45, and then the show actually starts at noon. And that's just due to my real life, quote unquote, real life business has been super hectic. And at the same time, I look back at that because when I go to do the podcast, what I do is I start with what's topical, what are some things that really jump out in my head that I've done in the past 2 weeks or whenever since we've last had an update podcast. I do that, and then I'll go back to Twitch and YouTube and look at the videos that came out, read some comments, and just kind of build what I want to talk about in the podcast that way. And so I went to Twitch. I'm like, over the past couple weeks, shows have been starting not on time. And the reason why I don't like it is because it's an expectation that I feel is important. Something's going to start at 12. It should start at 12. And if it doesn't, then I don't know. But at the same time, as hardline as I am on that, I also give myself internal slack because, other things happen. And to me, as long as, and I think everyone knows that my goal is always to put on the best show as humanly possible and make sure people enjoy themselves, have an entertaining afternoon show or distraction, whatever is going on. So as long as that happens, and it may not be perfect every time in terms of when I start, the goal is to always start exactly on time. And that's something that is just written down for me as a focus for this week. And so I'm excited for the opportunity to get better at that. And kind of other thing that's been going on lately. Another interesting thing that got to make a decision on, probably a month, 4 to 5 weeks ago, I decided that I wanted to have the channel live 5 days a week. So the shows are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but I wanted Tuesday and Thursday to have something called, end up calling Golden Oldies Rerun. So I have a lot of content on the internet. I've been making gaming content for about 7 years. So there's a lot of playthroughs from YouTube that people have never seen on Twitch. So we started that experiment about 5 weeks ago, and it ends essentially this Tuesday with the wrap up of a playthrough of Fallout New Vegas. And a lot of interesting things have happened as a result of this experiment. Ultimately, I need to do 2 things to decide what happens next to how to continue this. Number one is I need to reach out and get feedback from the people that were hanging out there, what they liked about it, what they didn't like about it. And I'd say through probably half the shows, I was either lurking in the chat while the rerun was live or, talking to people and getting a vibe. But when it happened, one of the unexpected things that happened from the Golden Oldie reruns, which is essentially just taking a series from YouTube that's never been on Twitch and then playing it, was that the playthrough we picked, I think, was from like 2015 or 2016, Fallout New Vegas. And I was just watching it with the community, and it's like, man, so much has changed since then. Everything from really what it is from an energy level, how I approach commentary, the excitement level, just everything about it. And there were some interesting comments, and a couple, I'm going to paraphrase because I don't remember verbatim, but someone's like, man, this is not anything like the show, or wow, Dan, you've really come a long way, or oh, Dan, you were super chill back then. And those are all accurate statements. And so to me, it was a little bit eye-opening because when you do something for so long, I think it's just inherently you get better at it. And that's not me tooting my own horn, but I also kind of watched that stuff and I was like, man, this is not good. But at the time I thought it was good. And I still think it's better. It's pretty good, but it's just not as good as what I'm doing now. So it leads to a decision to make for, the next Tuesday, Thursday rerun shows is what are we going to do, right? Because one of the things I felt like, and this was only after doing something, you look back at it and it felt like, okay, this Fallout New Vegas playthrough is not indicative of what the show is like now. So someone that may stumble on to the Fallout New Vegas playthrough on Twitch for the first time, having never seen or been on the channel before, it's not an accurate representation of what's going on now. So really, I need to balance that versus what people enjoyed watching that are already a part of the community. So if there's a large contingency of the people that watched the reruns and enjoyed it and would like something similar, then we'll do something similar. But if everyone's like, but if the feedback's different or indifferent, then I'm going to do something a little bit out there and definitely wildly different. But ultimately, one thing I need to do to kind of wrap up that decision is take a look at the stats on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Did they go up? Were they stagnant? And things like that. And to me, the whole idea of going live or having reruns, aka not go live, is that I want to be live at the same time every day, or I want the channel to have something going every single day at the same time, so that people that want to hang out or are used to hang out have an option to do that. And also, I don't see a reason why not. I'm a zig and zag type guy, meaning that if everyone's doing one thing, I like to do the opposite. And when I look at the channels that I like, no one does that. And I don't know if it's because maybe too much work or because it doesn't work or it doesn't work for them. But even just kind of saying it doesn't work, I just harken back to what's been going on in the YouTube channel with the Tarkov videos. The Tarkov videos I did 6 months ago didn't work, but it's not because it was a Tarkov. It's just because of what we put out there didn't work. So just because what you're doing right now isn't working doesn't mean that there's not something you can do that will work. I know that's a little bit confusing down the rabbit hole, but it's just kind of really what I hang my hat on is that you just keep actually executing and doing things until you find out what works. And eventually after 7 years, you stumble onto something that's, that feels right and feels organic and people are excited about. And that's the end goal. So outside of that, and the other thing it's kind of reminded me of is that things don't happen overnight. So, the show's evolved a lot over the past 2 years, but if you go back to square one, so much is different, so much has changed, but it's just one little change at a time. For example, like the energy and the commentary on the New Vegas stuff is like, oh my gosh. Like, but I don't know. It was just so, because I just don't go back and watch my stuff, and maybe there's a good reason why, but it was just eye-opening in a lot of different ways. So I'm excited to make a decision on how the oldies are going to, or the reruns are going to continue in a different capacity and sample it and try it out. And of course, you guys know that I'm going to come back here and say, hey, this worked better or this was worse. I'm going to go back to another old playthrough. Another thing that happened over the past week was, for the very first time, I got to say the first time in a long time, the tenets of the show are clean, positive entertainment and really stress, really staying positive in the face of a lot of adversity. But I don't want to get too much into it because we've kind of, it's been like a dead horse situation. But I like to think that the community from time to time will lean on your boy. If they're having a rough day, we're laughing, either playing the game bad or people are enjoying themselves. But it's very rare that I'll have a show and there's like any degree of salt whatsoever, any degree of like anything like truly adverse, meaning that like, hey, not even, I want to say adverse, but like that it got to me. And I would say probably on the scale of 0 to 100% salt, meaning like complete meltdown, I got to about like a 5%, which is like, I never get above like a 0. And it was just, based off of unexpected reaction. And I kind of, for the first time, and I say this, I need to be careful I say this because I want to word it properly. Like, I leaned on the community. Like, there were a couple people that were live and like, that people said a few things. I'm like, all right, they're right, and just kind of brush it off. And it was kind of funny. It's funny to look back at, and I think it was good. And it's good because I feel like, even though that's like the number one focus that I do, just keeping things on the straight and narrow and positive. But, you're going to have, every now and then you're going to whiff. And, for me, the whiff has been, I don't know if it's 2 or 3 years we've been doing the show. It's the first whiff in the history of the show. But like, I leaned on the community, and something that lasted 5 to 10 minutes didn't last the entire show. So I was really excited about that. And also, in the grand scheme of things, it's extremely minor in terms of being salty and things of that nature. But it was nice. It was kind of like, I kind of, not that I didn't get it before, but I kind of get it now. Like if what was done from the community to me is at least a half iota of what happens vice versa, I'm super excited that I get the opportunity to do this on a, daily basis or weekly basis. Because it impacted me, and to have kind of the community to pull me out, it was cool. So that's something that I'll always remember, but also is also a gentle reminder for me to be able. That's something like in addition to work on, and I think part of the reason why not part of the reason, definitely one of the reasons why it happened, it was because it was a show that just didn't involve me. It's always easier, in my opinion, to control yourself in a solo situation. But when there's a lot of different personalities and a lot of situations going on at once, and something may happen that you may disagree with, it's you're for me, then it becomes juggling your reaction to an individual as well as your reaction to what's going on in the show. But it was good, and it was I think it was, for me, it was a good identifier of another area I need to work on. But it was good. I was happy to be able to take that in stride and have the community to definitely lean on that. I think that's the biggest takeaway for me. Outside of that, YouTube's really been on fire. I think we've talked about it a little bit, but the Tarkov videos have been going extremely well. We're talking thousands and thousands of views per video. And even more important than that, like, there's been a couple comments. I'm actually going to pull one of them up right now. But there's been a couple comments that just have really kind of struck a chord with me, because it's what I would have kind of always not hope, but it's like when you read a comment like this, you're like, yo, this is what I'm fired up about. So this was from not my actual name on YouTube. It says, every day when I put my kid down for a nap, I use an hour, use my elliptical, and watch these videos are something I look forward to when I exercise, and thanks to the company. So to me, when people can depend on something, and more so that they know the video that's coming out or the show that they're going to be tuning into, they have an expectation of the entertainment, or that they know it's going to be worth their time. To me is everything. And it means so much, because that's the goal. I want people to be excited about watching a YouTube exclusive video. I want people to be excited, about tuning into the show Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. And ultimately, it's not on them to be excited. It's on me to get people excited by creating good content. And I feel, I want to say definitely gone through a lull. I mean, 100% gone through a lull for the, some couple months of 2019 with the content, but I just don't feel like that anymore with the videos I put out. I'm really excited about. And the odd thing about that is, this week, with things going so well, I've missed more videos this week than in probably a year or two of YouTube. And like I said earlier, I've had a lot going on with my real life business, some big projects that are now starting to wrap up. But in hindsight, not in hindsight, what I normally would have done, I would have just kind of grinded my face off and made sure I got the 2 videos done, whether they were good or not. I would probably say it's more just kind of getting them done versus doing an actual video that I was proud to put out there. Now it's like, okay, hey, look, do you want to kill yourself to put out a video you're not happy with? Or not kill, stay up late, get your schedule off to put up a video that you're not thrilled with? Or, take a second, regroup, know that it's going to be a little bit hectic of a time, and then update the people that watch the YouTube videos, and then just do the best you can for this small window of time where you're going to miss a video or two. And that's what I ultimately settled on for me, which is a little bit different. Normally I put myself, I'm like, hey, just get it done. You said it's going to be out there, so get it out there. But now it's like, I don't want to say I care more about the quality, but I feel like now that there's, and I don't like to use the word expectation, but now that there's an expectation of a certain type of video, meaning that people know they're going to laugh, they know they're going to be entertained, I don't want to put something out there that's not like that. And so as a creator, it's definitely, I think it's one of the ebbs and flows of changing how you produce things. And for me, it's just balancing the one thing that I always, the one sticking point in my head, which is that when people are expecting a video and there's people excited to watch it, whether the video gets 1,500 views or 6,000 views, to me, I need to if I ever end a series like that, it's just such a hard thing because I feel like I'm disappointing someone, that may be looking forward to that series. So that's the one thing I'd say internally that I'd still struggle with and haven't gotten over, because it is important to me that, the videos that people get into, I don't just like cutting them off for no reason whatsoever. So just trying to work out on that. Outside of that, things have been slow on social media for me, meaning that it just is what it is. There's a big project going on, but didn't post a ton on Instagram, didn't post a ton on Twitter, Snapchat, nothing like that. But as opposed to getting worked up about it or having this feeling like I should be doing this, because 100% I should. It's just like, all right, hey, look, this wasn't the week, but get your stuff together, schedule it out, and re-up for next week. And so I think as I've been doing this for longer, becoming more experienced and maybe a little bit more wiser, I've learned that you're better off just getting ahead of acknowledging, hey, it wasn't a great week. Don't beat yourself up. Just focus on, okay, what's next? What can you do right now to make things better, as opposed to, oh man, I missed these videos. I didn't post on Instagram. So not dwelling on what wasn't done, but just taking that energy and time and thought and saying, okay, what can I do right now? And that's what I did prior to this podcast in terms of responding to comments. I'm like, I didn't post a lot of Instagram this week, but there's a lot of engagement on this post. So listen and have a conversation with the people that were there for the post that you did post. So outside of that, there's been been doing some new things this week, and one of the new things that popped up was a fan project called Mario Royale. And essentially what it is, it's Super Mario Brothers, the original one for the Nintendo. Someone turned that essentially into a battle royale / speed run. And it's a fan project. It was web browser based. I turned on Twitch. I think I was in the middle of some real life work, quote unquote real life work. And I saw someone playing a Mario Battle Royale. I saw it for 15 seconds. I said, drop everything and go play it, because that's what I felt like doing. I'm like, this is one of the few things I'm dropping everything to try right now for two reasons. One, it looked amazing. I was very fired up about it. Two, Nintendo has a history of shutting down fan projects very quickly. So I literally dropped everything and recorded a 20-minute first look at video, put it on the channel, and it got a really good response. And I feel like it's just that, and for me, it's just listening to internally what I get fired up and excited about. Sure, Mario Battle Royale doesn't fit the YouTube channel with Tarkov, quote unquote, fit the Tarkov channel or YouTube, with the Tarkov and MLB videos, but essentially it fits what I'm excited about. And I think somewhere there's an underlying line, or large underlying line, about what I'm excited about, and also what people that are part of the community also are excited about. So it was fun, and it did really well, so much so that the video went really well, and I wanted to, it was super uncharacteristic, but I had some free time. It might have been Wednesday evening. I'm like, I didn't get a chance to win Mario Battle Royale, so I'm like, we're gonna stream until we do it. So it was a random night stream, and it, once again, trying something completely different and off the wall, and it went well. And so it's just, to me, it's just a reminder of just listening to what you want to do and what's organic or excites you, and then just do it, because 99% of the time that's what's going to work. Outside of that, other new stuff, I tried Cadence of Hyrule, a Switch game that we did a first look at video. I went back to Tetris 99 in a rare 3-game Twitch show. Normally the Twitch show I do, we play Tarkov, and another game was Enter the Gungeon, but I really wanted to try Mario Royale and Tetris on the show, and so I did a show without Escape from Tarkov, and it was something new and something different. People seemed to enjoy it. I enjoyed it, and I noticed that taking a day off Tarkov from the show, I came back Friday super fired up to play Tarkov. So once again, it's just kind of one of those things to listening what your internal radar is saying. And there was a part of me before I went live, I'm like, hey, people are expecting to see Tarkov, but to me, and I love Tarkov, but to me, I just didn't have it in me. I didn't have, of course I could play it and be excited to play it, but I was more excited to do something else that day, and I think it showed through on the show, and people, I think, got the feel for that. So I think really just kind of staying organic and true to yourself, I think, will always win in the long run. If you're doing something for someone else's expectations versus why you want to do something. So for me, I felt like that day I could put on a better show doing Gungeon, Tetris, and Mario Royale. So that's what I did. And it wasn't like an easy decision, but it was like, hey, this is what I feel is the right thing to do, so we'll do it. And it turned out to be the right decision. Outside of that, something kind of unique happened is, I think we've talked about this a lot in the past, but I'm not a stuff guy. I don't like stuff. My wardrobe is extremely simple. I got a direct message from a family member says, hey, Dan, everything I see you post, you're wearing either red or black. It's like, because that's what I wear. I have 4 black shirts, 4 red shirts, a couple pairs of shorts to go with either. And that's it, because I like to wake up in the morning. I don't think about what I'm wearing. I grab one of each and I'm gone and out the door. But I'm just not a stuff guy. And if you're a stuff person, kudos to you. I'm just not that person. I'm aware that I don't like a lot of stuff. I don't like having a lot of stuff around. I don't, I just don't need stuff. I just don't need it. So long story short, I had a package show up in my office, and I opened it, and there were some 5 packs of Magic the Gathering cards, which fit in to what we do with the show, but I would classify it as stuff. But I was excited about it, and because there was a heartfelt letter with it from a community member who owns a trading card shop in Ohio and said, hey, Dan, the letter was like, hey, thank you for, essentially I'm paraphrasing, thank you so much for the show. I was watching and I noticed that, you said this was your favorite card as a kid because it reminded you of X, Y, and Z. So he sent me that card, which is a Heirloom Minotaur from the revised set. He actually sent it from the Unlimited set. And he's like, hey, I sent you these packs as well to open on the show. Or he said just to open, didn't say to open on the show. And so I really, as much as I appreciated the card, which I did in the packs, the letter meant a lot to me. And it was funny because what I ended up doing was I ended up opening those packs on the show on Friday, which is, a little bit different. And then I spent some time looking at his store, finding out about his store online during the show, because it's a small way, a small thing I could do to thank him for doing that. But also, one thing I didn't mention about this individual is that he started the shop when he was 18. He's 21 now. He's run a successful card shop for 3 years. And I just respect that. Anyone that puts themselves out there and takes a big risk, that fired me up. And for someone so young to take a shot like that, I'm guessing his passion, because you got to be pretty excited about trading cards and Magic to, essentially hinge your future on, or hinge a business on it. And so I was super excited to do that. And there was a comment that I won't forget when I was doing this and talking about a show. Someone said, hey, all you have to do is send Dan some free product and it'll give you free advertising. And that's not the case at all. It had nothing to do with that. He didn't ask for it. He didn't expect it. It just struck a chord with me, the combination of everything. He wrote a super, I have a cork board in my office where anytime someone writes me a letter or a really kind email, I put it on there because I use that from time to time. Sometimes I walk in the studio and whether I got to record videos or do a show, and sometimes you don't got it. And I'll look at that and it's a reminder to me, hey, the shows that you do or the videos you make put a smile on people's face, and don't forget that that's a privilege and not a right to be able to do that. So if you're walking in the studio and you're, whatever's bothering you, snap out of it, because, you have the opportunity to do this. So number one, so I added that letter to the wall, but 2, I resonated with his story. He took a shot on something, and so I would love to do that. So to me, it's not, send me something and I'm going to talk about your product or store. It's not like that at all. Like I said, it just kind of struck a chord with me, and I was happy to do that. And, whether it has an effect on his store or not, I think, I hope, or I think that he appreciated it. Or if not, it doesn't matter, because I appreciated, what he did when he sent all that in the letter to me. So outside of that, it's been a really good month for Twitch, for YouTube, for the podcast, for everything. Everything's been going really well. It's been a great start to the summer, and I'm excited. Super Mario Maker 2 comes out this week, and while it's something very different that what we've normally do on the show, I think I'm excited to see the reaction of people. I'm really excited to play it. I feel the same way about Super Mario Maker 2 as I did about Cuphead. I really haven't been this excited for a game since Cuphead to be released, in especially in the platforming area now. So I'm really excited. I don't know how it's going to do on the show, but we're definitely going to be trying it out, and if not on the show, on YouTube. But it's just something that I don't want to say I hope, because I try to remove expectations, but I hope that people enjoy it, because I think it's going to be one of the rare games that aligns excitement, my individual personal excitement, with hopefully the community feels the same way. But if not, dial back and reassess. With that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of the podcast. I did want to read one thing from the community Discord, because they posted it in the podcast room. So if you're not part of our community Discord, you can go to dangheesling.com/Discord and hang out with the community. I'm always in there reading feedback, talking to people. There's people dialed in right now, 4 people playing Escape from Tarkov right now. Brett Landusky, Brett Gambit, Samsonite, and Yosoy6112. They're playing together right now in the Discord right now as we speak. But I do want to read this. This is from Project S. Said, I got curious and listened to your podcast today while I was working. I didn't know you were on Big Brother. I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but I hate/despise/detest Big Brother. In parentheses, my wife loves it, but I've been watching you for around a month on both Twitch and YouTube. I enjoy your content, and it won't hold the show, and in parentheses, and your apparently dominating performance against you. I actually hope this has encouraged you, Danny, because it shows you have gained fans organically and through your hard work and appreciated work, not just because you did well on the TV show. Have a great day. And that means a lot to me, because stuff like, I don't want to say, at this point, I don't question that at all. I'd say in the early year or two of doing YouTube and Twitch, 100%, I didn't know. I don't know. And I still don't know. And I think what matters to me is that it doesn't matter anymore to me. I'm in a position now, and this is all internally, where like that doesn't matter. I'm super grateful for my experience on the show, and how that does or does not impact what I do in the gaming space on YouTube and Twitch doesn't matter. If people come around because of Big Brother, awesome. And if they come around not because of Big Brother, awesome. But it took a while to kind of get to that point, and really, I think, feel confident in the content I was creating. Know, hey, people are tuning in because they like the content, not because they watched you on a show. So, Project S, I appreciate that, dialing that into in the Discord. That meant a lot to me. And if you're not in the Discord, I encourage you guys to check it out. It's a completely free program. And it's on your mobile device, but I check it all the time. And to me, it's one of my favorite ways to, stay in touch with the community and see what people are up to, and also get to know people. I get to know different personalities and what people are into just by hanging out there. But anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast, and I will see you guys next Monday, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the next episode. Later, guys.